Hello there. This is a screencast to help you out in creating your performance task for stage 2 of the curriculum maps. So after opening the template, go ahead and change the title. In this case, I'm going to use Financial Algebra. This was the example I've been using. Module 1. And I'm going to do stage 2 worksheet. Okay. Now for stage 1 column, this is where you're going to make sure it's aligned to your desired learning goals. So in this case, I'm going to go to my curriculum map, and this is that curriculum map. Here, it's absolutely sure that we're not going to include the actual standards themselves. We're just going to refer to them using their numbers and their acronyms. So just copy and paste, or you can type it NQ1 and 2 and CED 1, 2, and 4. This one's for the REI. And I have an SSE. And the math practices. 1, 5, and 6. There's also the national standards for financial literacy, which is way down here. I'm just going to say this is CEE 5 about financial investing. Okay, next would be transfer. Now you would want to copy and paste your transfer goals over here because that's what we're trying to achieve ultimately. So I want to interpret stock market data. That's what I want my students to do, and persevere in solving the math problems related to investing in the stock market. I want them to use appropriate tools and to express their answers with a degree of precision appropriate for the problem context. So make sure it's there because that's what you want to see in your performance task. Next, for essential understanding. So I'm going to switch back, and here is where my overarching essential understandings and questions will come into play because these are overarching. They work well with my performance task. I am not ignoring the topical ones, which are these, because I will see them again in my other evidences. Let's go ahead and close this one so that we're not interrupted. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to focus on my overarching essential understandings and essential questions. If you still want to include topical ones in your performance tasks, you can go ahead and do that. But I want my performance task to be focused on these goals. So these are the ones that I want in my performance tasks. I want my students to see that investing can help their money grow, and the stock market is a balance between risk and reward. So I'm going to copy them here. And also this one, that we can find solutions to real-world problems by modeling them with equations. Now, you don't need to put the OAs, these legend labels, you don't need to put them in your, as you do your worksheet. So now, for investing can help your money grow, this one matches to this one. So I'm going to copy this to in my questions. Now, if you did not make matching understandings and essential questions, don't worry about it. In my experience, once I have the understanding stated, it's easy to make the essential questions. So in this case, that's the essential question. Okay. Knowledge, I don't need to list all of these because there are a lot. I do want them to focus on the stock market vocabulary. So that's what I'm stating here. So just a collective statement that I want them to know stock market vocabulary. Finally, I want them to be skilled at just some targeted skills. So I don't need to put all of these in there. So first is I want them to determine the actual gains and losses. because they're going to do that in this particular module. And then I want them to use linear equations, so it's this one. So notice I'm choosing only the targeted ones for this performance task. All the others you can, and we'll just worry about the formatting later. All the others are going to be hit by the other evidences. And finally, I want them to interpret stock market data. Okay, so notice these three is all about stock market data. I'm just going to put one collective sentence saying interpret stock market data. Okay? So now we're going to move on to the 6 facets of understanding. How will you know that your students actually understood the module? So for explain, I want them to explain how stock market data will drive the way they're going to buy and sell, or will drive trading decisions. Okay? I want them to be able to interpret real-time stock market data through algebra or algebraic concepts. Application. I want them to actually buy or buying and selling stocks in a virtual environment. I want them to see the point of view of stockbrokers, that's going to be their role, and also the audience, which is the investors. I want them to empathize with stockbrokers and also the investors, who are, some of them are cautious. So investors who are cautious means they really don't like to, they see the stock market is going down, so they don't want to invest. Or they're really optimistic in making trades or in trading. And finally, I want them to reflect on the influence of current events on stocks. Okay? Like what happens if like Apple comes up with another revolutionary device, what happens to their stock? Or if a company, the CEO is involved in a controversy, what happens to their stock? So that's what I want them to reflect on. And now, after the 6 facets, this is the most important part right here, which is you're going to state your performance task. And for this one, I want it to be 50% of their grade. I'm not saying this is something standard across all the courses. It will be up to you and your group to determine what's the weight of this particular task. Now, in this case, if you want to go in order of the grasps method, you can go ahead and do that, but you don't have to. So some would like to start with the product, and that's what I did. So I want them to create a report or a presentation. Okay. Then I created the goals. I want them to interpret stock market data in making trading decisions. There is no particular order of doing this. So the way I'm doing it, you don't have to follow it. Role. The student will be the stockbroker. Okay. The situation is that the student will make trades in the stock market or in a virtual stock market. The audience would be for the investors who hired the students or who hired you. I want to put it in the second person so that it's more personal to them instead of using the third person. Standards, and this will become your rubric categories. Okay, this should include clear explanations of the important stock market vocabulary used, accurate samples of algebraic problems encountered, and well argued explanations of your trading decisions based on real-time data that you will collect. Okay, so that's my task right there. And the next one is consider the other evidences. After you, this is how important it is. After stating the performance task, now you have an idea what are the other goals, the EU essential understandings and essential questions that were not hit by this particular performance task. And that will be the next step. What other evidences can I use to make sure they understood those other topical understandings, questions, and knowledge and skill targets? And for this one, it's optional. If you have time, you can go in and personalize it using what you learned from the 5 dispositions. And the only important part is to be able to fill up all the other columns except for this 5. If you have time and you think you're ready to do it, I highly encourage you try it. Try going with the 5 uh, dispositions. And there will be another screencast for you to see the bigger picture, how this it will be transferred to the actual template for stage 2. But for now, this is all that I have. And if you have any questions, please let me know. You can send me through email or you can ask me questions by calling me. Thanks, and I hope you have a great day.